Hello there. We are in Vilnius, the tech capital, fintech capital of Baltics. You might know this place from NordVPN, from Vinted, and today my guest is AI entrepreneur. So stay tuned. Today I'm delighted to meet Cedric Charpenet, who is the leader, sales consultant, entrepreneur with decades of experience across finance and technology sectors. And he is now based on Vilnius, Lithuania, but he is a French national, and he leads the SharpStrat and Conquer sales communities. He is known for applied approach for the AI. And notably, he had recently flagship event from 0 to 3 million ARR using AI, featuring hands-on workshops on AI, which is great. And today we hope to get some actionable insights and stories, how to use AI, sales, and other things. So welcome.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Your background is kind of interesting. You're a French national living now in Lithuania and grew up in Hong Kong. And even sold chaga mushrooms, coconuts, and aloe, and all sorts of crazy things. But you started with the banking and financial background, right? Do you remember some things from that time that still affects the way how you operate today?
Yeah, absolutely. I went into finance because I thought it was cool. It's like Wall Street, those movies and whatever. You're on the phone, you're making big deals, and or you have the trading floors and everybody shouting on their phones.
Like
that. And well, yes and no. I mean, I did do it's like a 3-day work placement that I was at the French school when I was living in Hong Kong, and they ask you to do a 3-day work placement just to validate your year and get a little taster of what work is. And I did it at a French bank that had a trading floor in Hong Kong for their Asian markets. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, this looks like it's never going to be boring. You're always there on the phone trying to make deals, and it's just nonstop. So I was like, that's where I want to go. So I finished my schooling, and I was looking at all universities. I didn't really look much at French universities because I went to the UK. And I was looking at every degree, and I was like, which one has just finance? I just want finance. And it was always accounting and finance. I was like, I don't want that boring stuff of accounting, which in hindsight, I think accounting is super useful. You should always know accounting, especially if you're going to be a business owner. Always know your accounting. But so I did banking and international finance. I managed that to find one in the city of London. And once I did that, I did a lot of trading, kind of competitions, like online trading I came second place in one, not first. Last minute, like Twitch, anyway.
Was it like competition there?
Yeah, you have little competitions where you can...
With real money?
No, they give you like 10,000 fake money on a platform. So I guess, there's always that element of if you're trading your own money, you don't take the same amount of risk as if you're trading someone else's. And that's, I think, the overall theme with finance is as there's this element of moral hazard, which ultimately gets a little bit unhealthy. You're privatizing your profits, but you're socializing your losses. And that's one of the kind of things I didn't like about it, and ultimately why I wanted to move away from that, but among other reasons. So when you're in finance, what you need is a strong eye for patterns. Especially when you're investing, history repeats itself. You have to have a strong understanding about how cycles operate, patterns, and you have an attention to detail. You have to be quite analytical as well and fast on your feet to find solutions. And there's a lot of brainstorming that happens as well. So all of those kind of skills.
I've never been in any kind of trading floors or that kind of circles, like how it actually happens. I just see that like Warren Buffett is still like for 30 years on top of with the tech companies like in top 10 I think or something like but how do they actually do it? Is it like data driven, or as you say like they have brainstorms, or what's the process?
So it depends if you're like trading or if you're investing. Those are two very different things. Trading is more like it can be like daily or even hourly or minutes. You're just like buying and selling, and you're taking really
Small margin.
small margin bets, but overall it grows. Or you're investing, and that's what Warren Buffett does. Is you take a position in a company you understand. You know, like Coca-Cola, everybody drinks Coke, so this is gonna.
He drinks
He
Coca-Cola.
drinks Coke all the time, and so you're investing on a very long-term basis. And I think that's one of the stocks he's had forever, and he doesn't sell. So very different ways. He doesn't need to go on a trading floor. Actually, I don't think he has a computer. He just reads and.
Is it like that? Yeah. You've
Yeah,
heard?
yeah. Apparently, he's in Omaha, in Nebraska. You know, he got to a level where deals come to him, right? So the information
there is a
flows.
thing of that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have that information, it comes towards you, and you don't need to really move. But if you're like a little people like us, you know, we don't have access to that type of information. So we have to invest very differently, and that's why, you know, now there's this rise of for the last 2 decades, rise of the ETF. So you're just investing in a fund that replicates an index, basically. But so, yeah, in terms of skill sets, you look at patterns, you look at ways that things repeat, and you are analytical. And that has been super interesting for me to gain as a skill set for sales.
Hmm.
And because in sales, ultimately, it's all about you're dealing with other humans. There's human psychology. Just like in finance, same thing. There's human psychology.
In finance, you have human psychology.
Absolutely. It's
Give me an example how in the finance it is important to have this aspect of human psychology.
we're emotional creatures, right?
Yeah.
Social creatures,
Like
and
thinking fast and slow.
would you invest rather in something that has been going down for the last 2 years, or would you invest in something that's been going up for the last 2 years in terms of performance? I will tell you that a majority of retail investors will go with what has been going up for the last 2 years, even though, because it's gone up, it has more risk of going down
this is true.
than something that has been going down for the last 2 years. If the fundamentals are right, then it has a chance of going back up.
So you need to read the other player in the market, right?
Right, and there's the worst thing in finance is to be too early, because you can lose your shirt on being too early. But if you manage to get the timing right, because you've seen all the indicators that point towards a change in the market, and some others see it, then you need more people to buy that stock for it to go up, right? That's how it works.
What do you think? Like we'll discuss this later more, but what do you think about the AI? Like where we are at the, let's say, Gartner hype cycle, or the opportunity to invest in products companies with that component?
I think we peaked out on
You already think we peaked?
the hype. When you look at how many users there are for OpenAI, I think it's in the billions, right?
Yeah. They're bigger than 10 next competitors in AI space.
It's so everybody has jumped on that train, but I think there might keep on those users, and more users will join. But I think there's going to be this difference between having just daily little conversations about, okay, I got this rash, what is it, you know, type of thing, or I don't feel so good, what's happening?
Did you hear that? That like 3 years ago, the doctor was better than ChatGPT. Yes, last year ChatGPT with doctor. This year,
It's better.
yeah, that's better than doctor.
But ultimately, it's quite simple to understand because AI is getting very good at seeing patterns.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have this amount of, the more data you have, the more you can see the patterns. So it's only fair that AI will be very good at, you know, anything that is healthcare, legal.
Yeah, legal. I was also wondering, like, I've seen some of these great examples in Switzerland. I think kind of Switzerland with ETH Zurich and all of that part. It's in the Europe one of the hotspots with AI. They also have less regulation, as I understand, compared to the Europe.
That's why didn't OpenAI have their Zurich office raided by Meta,
Oh,
who
yeah, I heard
poached
that
3 people
poaching.
at
Yeah.
100 million
Yeah,
crazy,
signing bonus is
100 mil.
more than the valuation of the average startup, right?
It's how can you not poach someone with that type of package? I don't know, but yeah. So Switzerland has, well, for healthcare definitely,
Yeah,
but legal for sure.
yeah,
Especially the legality that is based on precedent. It's a lot harder for a lawyer to remember all the past
yeah,
cases than for an AI to just have them on their in the database and
yeah.
then to look through and see if there's something. But I'm a big proponent that at this stage it's still important to have a human in the loop, especially in sales. You don't see AI kind of selling yet.
Okay, we'll get to that. But then, just bringing back to the time, interesting time. I think, like from the days in
Oh, okay, yes, the
in the
finance.
Hong
Yeah.
Kong and China and so on. So there's this Fidelity International, and I read that you were there after the financial crisis in 2008. We just think like you talked about patterns. This was like Black Swan event, right? Like, and what was your experience that time? What did you see there? Also were doing the subprime, or what was
Yeah,
the
2008.
yeah
I think, this is a lot as well. In hindsight is 2020, as we say. So, now that you look back and you
yeah
have all these movies and all that, it
yes.
seems like it was so obvious
Was it
that
like in the movies?
there were elements of it. Of course, for a movie, you need to hype it up,
Yeah.
right? But I used to have a few. Most of my friends used to work in finance as well. We were in the city of London. I was in the less fun part of it in the city, and then Canary Wharf is the other part and I had friends that were working in the building across from Lehman Brothers telling me on chat, I see all these people coming out with boxes, out of the office. It was kind of what's next type of, and you were always kind of wondering what was the government going to do, what is the backstop on this, how's the market going to react, what are we going to communicate to clients, and that's where you learn the lessons of don't not communicate, over communicate.
Mm.
Because
So you have to communicate more than you think.
more,
Right.
more, and that's probably one of the reasons why in my team we didn't have as much in terms of outflows of money for the funds that others would have had, because we just constantly over communicate. If you help your client understand what's going on, why they should stay in the fund, because if you sell when it's down, then obviously you're losing a lot more money. That's also one thing in finance, is that yes, you might have your funds going up and you have a perception that you're making money, but you only make money when you sell. Or you only lose money when you sell.
Yeah, like you mentioned about human psychology, right? There it comes in the force.
It's especially retail investor, which is who we were dealing with. It's they always sell when it's low and they buy when it's high, instead of doing the opposite. So those are also the things that you.
Not the smartest thing.
But no, I mean it's kind of normal, because when it's high up, then your taxi driver starts talking about stocks, and you know
Right.
that that's the moment that you should be selling.
That was in the movie. I think
Yes.
you're sorry.
But that's so true. It's like when you're the normal, day-to-day worker starts investing and talking about stocks, that's when the hype is real. It's like crypto nowadays. That's everybody talks crypto. Well, digital assets. Sorry, let's change the terminology. So
Okay. Do you hold crypto?
I did, but I kind of dipped my toe in it, in, out, in, out.
What do you think of it?
I mean, it's definitely going to become, the 12th asset class, along with equities, bonds, real estate, whatever. Digital assets are going to become part of your everyday portfolio. That's now it's still relatively early days, I would say, even if everybody's talking about it. Big it becomes mainstream when big institutions have a way of investing in it. And now that's just starting. So you'll have
You could say the same about AI. Basically, as you look at, okay, there is these large players like Microsoft and some, right? But if we're talking about others, non-tech sector, right? It's only early days, I think, where they maybe just a maximum 3 years, 2 years, some kind of movement there, right?
I think big corporates in general are on the fence with AI, and this is actually a classic in enterprise sales, is that your buyer is always trying to mitigate risk. And AI is still a big unknown on the risk side, especially from a legal perspective. If you start putting your company's data and information within AI, where does this go? How does it work? Who's liable? This and that, especially if you sell to individuals, how does the government see it? How's regulation going to impact that? So there's a lot still of unknowns. And on top of that, regulation in Europe is even harsher on that.
No, that's bad.
So, well, I guess Europe is a little bit like the Apple of the big tech firms in the way that they're quite, they want to keep an arm's length away from that and the implications of it, because everybody has at least half of the people have an iPhone. If you put AI on it, what are the implications? Can they get sued for something? Well, now they're starting to backtrack and move in that direction, but ultimately that's privacy concerns, and Apple says
There
that
was just recently, I think it was in Hungary, the first class case with I think it was like copyright company, books company is suing Google for using data to train the large language models.
Yeah.
So we will see how that comes out. But I think in general, all of these problems, and you hopefully agree, can be solved. Like it is not something unsolvable. There are ways how to work also right now already.
I think you can't backtrack anyway. It's like people are now starting to get used to using AI.
Yeah, you cannot put back in the bottle, right?
No, that box got opened and Pandora's box.
Yeah.
It's already out. I think there are even studies of how people are getting a little bit more stupid.
Yes. The brain activity decreases.
Because, and this is where I try and kind of, I think you think first as a human and then get AI to kind of be that challenger of your thoughts. Fine, but think first.
It's an interesting topic. As you might know, I'm also an AI researcher. We have done lots of things with the language models, let's say 5-10 years ago, see how the transformers rise, how language models rise. And we know something about also the data sets, and it is that actually, by the way how the language models are trained nowadays, it's very, very difficult to get them properly criticize you because they are trained on data that all of the answers suits the user, so that all of the answers gives always the feedback so that user is happy. This is exactly how they are trained. So that area is kind of interesting. Sometimes people say that super intelligence will take over the world and then destroy people, right? But they are trained already, the language models at least, to always make humans happy.
But I mean, I think it's funny because I have this, I don't know if it's like a bias or whatever, but every time I'm talking to ChatGPT or whatever, and I'm happy with the result, I say, thank you. That's great. I'm talking to a machine, but I'm saying thank you. And then it responds, oh, pleasure, my pleasure, and whatnot. And then I think Sam Altman was saying that it's costing OpenAI
please
millions.
Don't write
please kind of. But I also have a friend of mine who is insulting AI, saying, what the hell, not to say the F word, but what the hell was that? Why did you backtrack? Or what?
How it works.
It actually, it's very apologetic. It's sorry, let me go back. And then it gets to where he needs to. But, then you have these memes that say, like in 10, 15 years when they start shooting a Terminator. Oh, no, he was good. He was nice to us.
I actually know one person, like a very prominent person that he actually was a prime minister, I think, even in Latvia. Who said publicly that he always talks politely to AI so that when a super intelligence comes, then it'll be remembered.
Yeah, I am the one who said thank you every time.
I have also read that you worked a little with Chinese companies as well. So what is the work ethic and how it's different from here in Eastern Europe?
When I finished university, I went back to Hong Kong because I was like thinking, I just want to go back to where I was raised, you know, and the good life, and that was fun as well. And so I worked. Even during my studies, I went for the summer to this private equity firm that was there. It was a local one, and a lot of their business was in China. So the partner there was taking me along with them to travel to China, to very remote places that, well, remote in China is always a terminology that's quite interesting because any city that you go to in China has at least 3 or 4 million people in it. Now maybe these are tens of millions. Like you had Zhangzhou, Chongqing, and all of these.
Do you speak in Chinese as well?
I used to be
Wow.
good with it. Well, I mean, I was raised there and I learned it at school and things like that. But the experience in working in China, I think, is something that you have to experience as a human rather than, you know, any AI or computer. It's the fact that selling and business is absolutely and totally cultural. The way you do business. Like there's these instances like when you go and do business in France, you shouldn't talk business until you get to dessert. Or well, I don't know if it's still applicable nowadays in this Americanized way of doing business, but that's how it used to really be traditionally. You go to China, they will make you drink. Well, at least back then. And I was, you know, after uni, drinking was okay. I could handle it, but they were drinking. Well, back then was like early 2000s, so the selection of alcohol was a little bit. So you even had instances where they put a glass in front of you and they like fill it up to how much respect you have for me.
Oh.
So. My partner at the time didn't drink. She was a Chinese businesswoman, and she was like, you know, for a lady, it's not good. But can you drink for me?
Oh.
And I was like,
How she dealt with that?
oh, she just passed me the glass. She was like, yeah, the white boy will drink
for me.
I was the only white guy there, you know. It's like a table full of Chinese, you know, doing they bring all the, and then you're
like experiment how this guy much can take.
And they bring all the typical dishes that they have. So you had turtle soup, you had hedgehog and stuff like that. Chinese words that at the time I wasn't too familiar with all the animals, and I was like, what is that? Turtle? You can see the shell there. You're like, and then they give me the shell because I'm the guest, you know, the white guy, guest of honor, and then, you know, you drink all this alcohol and you're completely wasted. But that's how they see how you react when you're drunk.
That's a part of the deal making,
yeah, absolutely. They want to see how you are because when you're drunk, you drop your guard and you see the true person.
That is very interesting. It sounds a little bit different. I have done some business in Japan. It's a different way there.
Well, Japan is. I think alcohol has a big place in Asia in general, and I think even in Europe, you have this element of alcohol too, because alcohol kind of makes you drop your guard. You know, it's like you will see the true person when they're a little bit tipsy or even drunk. So I think it's. But yes, you have a lot of protocols ultimately, and Asia for that is actually quite culturally different.
And as I mentioned before, like I read that you sold aloe, chaga, mushrooms, coconut water. Was it all also in the Asia or?
Yeah.
I read somewhere that while you're working on the coconut water, you managed to even establish about 200 relationships deals before you launched even. What was about that?
Yeah, so the coconut water story and even aloe vera before, it's when I was managing private money in Asia after I left Fidelity, a lot of the clients were asking for actual investment in real businesses. So we found aloe vera as the first one, good business out of Thailand, a bunch of French guys dedicated to producing aloe vera juice. Which was like, juice. Very good. France is their best market. I talk in the past tense because I think sadly they went bankrupt. But then on the back of that, since we had experience from investing in juice, like beverages, we decided to establish in the Philippines a coconut water production facility. So we raised money with our clients. You know, it was quite a substantial sum to establish in the Philippines. So an intricacy with doing business in Asia is that a lot of the time you don't fully own the company that you establish. You have to have locals as part of your, you know.
What is the percentage of the locals you need?
Depending on the countries, it can go to a majority.
Oh,
So 51% is owned by locals and you own 49%.
is it just the custom or regulatory?
Regulatory. China is a big one for that. Philippines is another one for that. So there may be ways that you can tweak things, but ultimately, so that's you know, that's the price of doing business in Asia, where you have huge growing populations. So you want to capitalize on that. It's an opportunity. So you go and you invest and you build, and you might get screwed, which is what happened. So
In your case, though?
oh yeah, absolutely. So we were building this this facility, got all the engineering, the land, everything. It was starting to get built, ordering all the production, everything to produce the water. And I was going to expos everywhere to say, look, we're building this, we're building this, we're building this. And yeah, so I connected with over 200 brands, because at the time, coconut water was really on a, you know, top trajectory. There were brands popping up everywhere. And yeah, so even after I left, some of those brands still were clients.
What is your strategy there to do these kind of deals even before you establish the production?
I mean, when you don't have a product to sell, first of all, you're trying to understand the pain that they have. So getting resources was a pain at the time. There was not enough coconut water around for all these brands to be able to get. So we knew that. We were building a superior product. So as well in the industry.
Even though you couldn't show.
Yeah, absolutely. But we were doing it a slightly different one, because in the industry it was mature coconuts. So to get it, not to get too much into details, but a lot of the facilities that were producing coconuts, the main product was the coconut water. The coconut oil.
Okay.
So you need mature coconuts for that. We were going with young coconuts, so you get more water, and that's the primary product. So we were pitching that. We actually were building this for the water, and then anything else is a side product. Great concept, doesn't work in reality.
Okay.
So because ultimately there are too many.
It worked for the sales.
It worked for, it was high interest. A lot of them were like, okay, and if you sign the letter of intent, you know, we can get you up, you know, as soon as we can produce, we'll send it to you. Great, we want samples. I'm like, that's not really possible right now. But so if you play with the pricing at in the onset, you're a first buyer, etc., then you can get a lot of people interested.
Right. And what is the story? You said you got at the end screwed up. Like,
oh, absolutely. Well,
like,
there were so many delays in building this facility. There were issues. There were some things that don't work. And so you have growing concern from the investors. What's happening? They had to put more money because it wasn't, you know, it was under budget, of course. You always have to overestimate budgets by 30% when you build anything. I think it happens as well in anything. You build a house, plan 30% more because you're definitely going to go over budget. Well, here's the same. And then you had the executive team. They did mistakes. Then another one got brought in to replace him. They did mistakes. And so it just over and over. And one of the investors tried to buy out a lot of the other ones at a shitty deal because it was going, a lot of people wanted to exit. So they just, you know, and then the board got replaced. I was part of the board, so I got chucked out because, you know, whatever.
They needed somebody responsible for
yeah,
the
but
problems.
they put me, you know, as in charge of sales and marketing, as well as, because I'm from finance, they're like, oh, can you also do finance, you know, and budget and whatnot? And I'm like, yeah, well, I did the budget. You're way off. So nobody likes that, you know. It's like, okay, who's the scapegoat?
The messenger, right?
Yeah. There are a lot of discrepancies between the design company and the construction, this and that. What's happening here with the numbers? and then let's kill the messenger. And so yeah, Philippines is also a place where you don't want anybody angry at you.
Oh,
Um,
what could happen if somebody is angry?
it's pretty cheap to get rid of someone.
What do you mean, like
Literally.
get rid of?
Yeah, you're a problem.
There was people who were
I'm not gonna say that they were really like that, but I didn't want to check, and I just decided that that was it. I was then with my
oh, but
my
wait,
wife, so
actually, I remember there was some guys who were doing business in that area. Not sure if it's Philippines or something, but they also at some point started to get life threats or
yeah,
something.
yeah, sure. That's typical. You are in a place in the world where there's a lot of people, and a life is not worth much.
Hmm. That is interesting thing. And then before we go into good stuff with SharpStrat and sales and other things, like just this chaga thing, like what was that about?
Yeah, so when I left the Philippines, we decided, okay, let's come back to Europe. We're in Europe. My wife is Lithuanian. And then we were coming back to Europe, and I was like, okay, we wanted a place cost effective in the meantime type of thing. So while we figure out what we're going to do with our life. And so I was like, your country. I went there, a couple of times, and it's actually pretty chill. Let's and it's very good value for money especially at the time. That was 2016.
Yeah.
So we decided to come to Lithuania, and we were finding ourselves a little bit, and then I got an opportunity from someone I met back in the days that had a coconut water brand. And she came up to me saying, look, I'm doing a project. I remember you from your coconut water days as, someone with integrity. I think that, you'd be interested in this. This is great. And I did my research on chaga mushrooms and functional mushrooms in
Yeah,
general.
they grow around Lithuania, right?
They grow here, but the best place to get them is in Siberia, which now is a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But any case, I started working with her to sell in the UK, and then at some point we were looking to bring it to Europe, and then Brexit happened, so that didn't simplify anything either. And then other things happened where I got a great contract deal to work in London for a company, and I was like, okay, I'll go with this, and in London I'll be able to see where we can sell it as well. But then, I was focusing on the job and selling, et cetera, and the money was a lot better. It was, chaga is an interesting product, but I think it was a little bit of a hype, and the trend wasn't really picking up to where it could be an actual sustainable product. I didn't see that. So I decided to part ways amicably. And
You still use chaga? Is there any
we still
benefits
have
on that?
the benefits are quite great, especially if you're a coffee drinker and you want to kind of move away a little bit from coffee. Coffee gives you jitters. It kind of has this up and then crash. Where chaga can kind of get you that upscale, but doesn't have that kind of crash moment. So some people even add it a little bit to their coffee,
Yeah.
kind of to smooth
Let's
down
just see this
crash.
Four Sigmatic or something there.
Yes.
They
They did a great job.
Charge a little bit, I think, but they have these
They even
powders.
pre-do the mix. I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it was too sweet.
But now they removed all of the sugars, but
There you go.
but still,
I
it's
stopped following this industry.
yeah. Oh, but it was like kind of like biohacking, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I was big in it. When I was in London, I used to go to these biohacking meetups. And now these meetups was led by a guy called Tim, and it became big.
Oh,
It
just when you exited, it became big, or was it in your time?
Well, no, it was in the onset of that meetup, and it kept on growing, and more people were proposing different types of products to enhance health, and red light therapy, functional mushrooms was part of it, but then you had methylene, I think, that blue thing that you can put on your tongue, or that many, and I think biohacking is super interesting because you're always trying to find ways to tweak your body. I wear, like everybody wears trackers or whatever to try and understand a little bit more how we function, but ultimately, I think when you
Will you
grow,
learn anything valuable from that tracker?
yeah, that I don't sleep well. But I have two small kids, so maybe that's why. I mean, my
I know
wife,
what you mean.
my wife tells me, "Why do you have that thing? I mean, you don't you know when you sleep well or not? It doesn't need to tell you that." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right, but you know." Um, so yeah, I mean, I think better sleep and is the key to any biohack. If you don't
Mhm.
sleep well, everything else you're going to do is just not going to be incrementally better.
But then let's move to SharpStrat and Conquer Sales, which is, I think, one of the main efforts you do right now.
Um, Not the main one, but it's something that I built in the last year. I was looking for a community locally because I'm part of a much bigger one called Pavilion.
Mm.
It's a very American kind of based or Western European. It's big in London. And I wanted something here, but there was nothing like that here. And so I decided to just, there's a local association as well for sales, but they're quite small. They're very local. They do things in Lithuanian. And it didn't match what I was looking for. So quite old school as well. So I decided to just do my own. I wanted to network with other salespeople, see what their challenges were, see if we can mingle and just tackle a few of their challenges. Um, and that's why I started Conquer Sales last year, and it grew, and yeah, I mean it's a free community, so anybody can join. And when we do a bigger event, then that's when I charge a bit something, or get sponsors or some, you know, I find ways to organize it. It takes a lot of time to organize an event,
Yeah.
but it's a ton of time.
I spoke recently with one guy who built that community of, I think it was over 1,000 people in Latvia at some point. Now it's a little bit down, but he said that the key for his success was that you need some crazy person who is super active and doing it overboard, and then it grows. If you don't have this crazy person, then it's going down.
Yeah, because ultimately what the community stands for is the person at the middle of it. And the organizer, the one who's promoting, he's the face of it. And he is the one that everybody recognizes ultimately as the community. So if you lose that person, then it's hard work to rebuild it.
I think also people kind of feel that this is not just like some kind of like a outreach financial financed event, a manufactured event, but there is somebody who cares and is actively doing something at every moment. So
Yeah, because you don't really make money out of this at
Mhm.
all. It's a lot of people have. I get constantly this question. So, what's your angle on this? What are you looking to get out of it? And it seems quite strange to people that someone can do it just to do it. I am an extrovert, I would think. I like to meet new people, mingle, learn about them, what are their challenges, if I can help. I have this aspect that if I meet someone, I might seem a little bit aloof in how I listen to what they're saying, but I'm in my brain, I'm trying to see, okay, from what their challenge is and what they're selling or whatever, who can I potentially connect them
yeah,
with that makes sense?
yes,
Um, and that's how I function. And so for that to work, I need to meet more and more and more
yeah.
and more people, and then I can just connect the dots. And then, so yeah, the community people meet each other, and some have done business together ultimately, and that's what it's all about. You know, it's like I should get a cut on every deal that happens in that community, but
No, that's not, as you say, that's not your main
no.
business. But if you go in the sharp strat, right? So who is the your clients and what's the best fit and what you do there?
So yeah, a lot of people have asked me, so which industry do you go
Yeah.
for, or what type of clients? And um, it's not as important as the type of deal that they do.
Okay.
I focus on companies that have complex deals, meaning that they're long sales cycles, various number of stakeholders, and big deals. Like you're going into your high five figures, six figures, maybe seven figures deals, and how does the salesperson, through coaching, learn how to better structure those deals and sell? So you would qualify that as enterprise level deals.
Mm-hmm.
And because there is a complexity to it, You need a certain level of business acumen. You're ultimately a project manager, to be fair,
Yeah.
because there's so many moving parts in a deal, either externally and internally in your company, and you are the one that has to orchestrate all that.
Yeah.
And it's something that needs to be done through coaching and training, and it's not often done.
I read somewhere that SharpStrat turns B2B sales house into the scalable go-to-market systems. Is that something applies to what you do, right?
I think AI and automation are not leveraged enough in a lot of businesses when they could be. So I'm not saying that you change the whole business into an AI first business. That's a bit ambitious. But ultimately, every business, even ones that have been in business for 10, 20 years, have certain processes that could be incrementally better if they used AI for that. What do I mean by that? Is a lot of companies have a huge book of business. They have a whole long list of accounts that they have had as customers, or maybe they stopped being their customer, or they said no at some
Yep.
point. And they have that in their CRM
Yep.
in some way, but they have no visibility on any of it. They
What do
have
you mean by
nothing.
visibility?
It's just sitting there.
Okay.
It's like data. CRM is more like a data dump.
All right. You enter and forget.
Yeah, it's you have this internal rich data that you could leverage, and one of the easier ways to do that is to have AI help you to look at certain things within your CRM to then spit out, okay, you haven't contacted these people in like years. Maybe you should go back to them, find them out a bit, or these people have churned, but why did they churn? You know, reasons to churn. Maybe you can look at patterns within the communication, and all of that now, because AI is great at looking at patterns and
Sure.
seeing, use AI for that.
Well, by the way, there is one thing which you just briefly mentioned is what I have seen sometimes when talk with also enterprises with how they use AI in some CRMs. Sometimes they want to just to plug in AI and get some results, but then they discover that for years they have not updated the CRMs for the deals where it didn't work out, just for the deals where it worked out. And then you have like very biased data. You have only the good deals and you have no bad deals. Basically, they are just not completed. They're just dropped. So it's kind of interesting that the AI feeds on data, and as like I know it's kind of pain, but if you put in a little bit of time and add more valuable information, it will come back to you.
Yeah, I was just saying that yesterday evening when I was lecturing. I'm part of two accelerators here in Lithuania, and for quite early stage startups. But I tell them, look, you can use your Google Sheet as your initial CRM. That's fine, but I would highly suggest, especially that there are free CRMs out there, to just take a CRM and just put your data, like connect your email, connect your calendar, understand how you get to a deal won, how you get to a deal lost, and why it got lost. Even go further and say, why did you win a deal? What is the reason someone bought it from you?
That's a great point. Like I know in my sales processes in the company that we do with enterprise sales as well, I think we definitely don't do enough documentation of the reasons and reasoning on the deal or some kind of context that might be valuable to AI.
I sometimes, I kind of empathize that inputting things in a CRM takes a lot of time and it's like feels like admin work. I've always taken it from a different angle where I see, okay, the CRM is there and it can help me do a better job with my deal and keep track of everything that's happening so that I don't miss a beat. I always tell, if you have enterprise level deals, there should be more than just one person attached to that deal, because that's never going to happen. If you have one person in that deal, that's a lost deal. That's not going to happen. You should have, stakeholder, champion, budget holder, decision maker, a blocker.
It's like when you climb the mountain, you have multiple points of contact.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just if you look at an enterprise deal, it moves down the funnel, then it goes back, and then they forgot something, they changed the deal. You have to do discovery again, etc. So that's why, if you are able to even record all your calls, track all the email, all the communication, and then you let AI kind of tell you, okay, look at this deal. Is this going to happen or not?
Yeah, give a score of that or score
Yeah,
the others.
exactly.
Yeah.
Score it. See, did I miss something somewhere? And you will see patterns, and it'll help you to see them.
What kind of tools you like? What are your recommendations on like plugging them in the sales process of age of AI, basically?
So I think CRMs are built for different ways of working, right? You have to find the one that works best for you. The classic one, a lot of companies go for is Salesforce. I
The
think it's
most expensive one?
most expensive, overkill, total overkill, very customizable, but at some point you will need full-time people to actually customize and build and make sure it doesn't break. I'm not a big fan. HubSpot, that's a lot better on that front, but it can also start getting it's expensive if you, especially if you drop off your startup deal, and it goes up in price. But at least everything integrates with
Yeah.
HubSpot. It's insane. So then you can get full picture, which is very important. If you are a startup that has, product-led growth, or
Yep.
you're looking to do product-led growth, you want to understand the usage of your software and plug that into your CRM and have AI to integrated and enrichment as well. I've seen more and more that Attio is kind of cool.
What's the name?
Attio, ATTIO.
Okay.
That actually has quite, and they're constantly building some cool features, but you have the ability to integrate a lot of things, build workflows. So if you're a builder and you like to tweak things and to customize, then Attio, I would take a look at it.
But if you use, for example, HubSpot, right? How would you use AI to score the deals or dig in deeper in your data?
So HubSpot is still at, they have their own AI integrated. I think Breeze, it's called. It's not great.
Not like I was, by the way, last year, at the end of last year in the San Francisco in the Dreamforce, the Salesforce large conference. They were all about Agent Force and
Sure.
how AI will do everything for you. So the most funniest thing I think from that conference was that this Benioff, the CEO, was talking with Jensen, NVIDIA founder, on the stage, and he was like telling something like. How did you know 10 years ago that AI will be such a big thing? We just, like in the words, like we just woke up. Basically, how did you know so soon this? And then Jensen said that he was working with scientists. He saw the opportunity, but so on. But the kind of the thing is that Salesforce, I think, is quite late at this, and also is that big an organization, it's probably hard to make hard to move fast in this field.
And that's the problem with many big organizations, is that they're still in the infancy of AI and how you implement it within their especially software. I mean, Salesforce is, how many moving pieces are in there? It must be insane. How do you add a layer of AI within all that code? Good luck. And also the fact that the Salesforce has had an acquisition strategy in terms that they buy up a lot of these Slack and whatnot. So they're adding foreign objects to their code, and then they have to have AI to orchestrate and navigate all that. So whereas HubSpot has gone the route of organic. So everything is connected. You can add marketing, service, etc. But again, there's so many layers to it that even adding AI to that is very difficult. That's why you have these suddenly out of nowhere in the last 2-3 years, these new CRMs that popped up.
That's so interesting. CRM is kind of old technology, but
you would think it's completely red ocean and whatever, but they're finding their niches, and Attio is one of them where they're putting AI right at the center of it. Within workflows, you can add AI layers, etc. in it. I also, because I'm a solopreneur, right? A consultancy can use this as well, and I think it's quite cool. It's Folk. It's a French CRM actually.
I will need to add in the show notes the links, but it seems cool.
And they went with the social selling first. And
what it means, social selling?
So this is something that I think is missing in a lot of other CRMs, is the way you sell and you communicate with your buyers has been evolving tremendously. You send or you communicate on LinkedIn. I send messages on LinkedIn. How do I replicate that in my CRM to remember that I did a message there? And then suddenly we move on to WhatsApp because we're on the road somewhere or whatever. How does that? Folk actually went that route and now is connecting all of these sources of communication. So when I look at my folk, I look at him or you, and I can see, okay, we communicated on LinkedIn by email because I saw that we booked this the meeting, and then WhatsApp, and so because deals, you need to understand where does you interact with the buyer, and if you can't, then you're missing a beat, and you're like,
so you don't miss the pieces of information
right.
to make the picture.
It's a puzzle that you have to put together. And because one of the biggest indicators of a deal actually becoming closed won is momentum. And if you cannot see you're missing some of the pieces, you might misjudge how that momentum and communication is going. So that's why I think that's a big part of selling.
Great, but you mentioned also a little bit the enrichment process. We also tried some of these tools. I will not tell exactly which tool, but basically there are these Zoom Info, Rocket Reach, Alpolo, other things, right? We had really funny experiences where we target some market, and basically it is AI automated scraping, and it shows us the different stakeholders in the company, and then we discovered that these are two different companies in different countries. They merged it together and made some kind of Frankenstein company. So it was not working very well for us. Do you have like any good experiences, some stories like bad experiences?
I think anything when it comes to data, especially contact data, has evolved in the sense that Zoom Info was before. Now it has evolved. This type of data has become a commodity. It's actually super cheap to find someone's contact. It's readily available, and you're just comparing solution based on price almost. So commoditized.
But the quality, I mean, like, okay, so if I'm targeting specific well-known individual, that's one. If I'm wanting to navigate organization where some people changes, right, and it's dynamic, well, do you have any good go-to tools there?
So I like the tools where you can consolidate a lot of those pieces together. So recently,
tools, yeah?
Huh?
It's like tools like that exist.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started like in May. We did the first Clay Club Baltics event where I'm co-hosting.
It's like N8N, right? Some kind of agent tool.
No, N8N is a fully it's an automation tool.
Yeah.
You build workflows. You can.
Oh yeah, Clay was for the sales.
And Clay is more of a spreadsheet on steroids, if you will, where you can include various types of integrations within the same spreadsheet, ultimately. And some of these integrations could be waterfall enrichment. So this is a concept, it's not new anymore, but in the last 2 years, you've seen quite a few providers of this, including now Clay, where if it doesn't find the contact with this provider, it goes to the next provider. It doesn't find it there, it goes to the next one, and then it verifies if it bounces or not. And so you, at the end of it, you know that if it didn't find a contact, is because it didn't find it in 5, 10 providers. Okay. So at least you have that. And
it is all in the Clay, yeah? So
you can put that in Clay already. So once then you have, so you found the person, even before you actually find their contact, you should really look into qualifying them. And this is where a lot of people use, Sales Navigator, filters, firmographics, as in company size, revenue, number of this department.
Is there anything better than Sales Navigator and LinkedIn?
I would think that Sales Navigator has one of the better databases of contacts, just because people updated themselves. Most people, well, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of people update their contacts or their information.
But what is the open rate in Sales Navigator? If you just write these premium LinkedIn messages, from my experience, it kind of feels like it probably below 10%, like maybe even 5, maybe 2%. What do you think?
From my experience, what I've seen, the main issue with in mails within LinkedIn is that people write them in the same way they would an email. Um,
Well, what is the difference? How people should write in LinkedIn?
when you write an email, you have to, especially the first email, you have a few criteria that you have to follow. Like you have no images, or you have no signature, or you put the signature within the body, all these things, and you have to worry about deliverability. So email, there's a few like other tweaks to make sure. And how did you find this email? Is this email actually going to get to the person or not? And you could check the open rates, but that doesn't tell you much
Yeah.
anymore. An in-mail, you're pretty sure that it's going to get to the right person because that's who you found, right? You adapted the right filters, etc. You don't have to sign an in-mail. There's no point because they already know who sent it.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's going to be yes, interested, or no,
Yeah.
right? And then you click, hopefully you want them to click yes, and then you can have a conversation. But you have, before even you get to that, in your filters, you want to make sure that you're sending anything to someone that has been active on LinkedIn. If they're not active in the last 30 days, why are you wasting your in-mails? Because ultimately there's a cost, right, to an in-mail. And it's, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's not like an email, which is
Yeah,
zero.
I know there is this checkbox active in the end of days. That is good function. Yeah.
And also you have some that have an open profile. So you don't even have to use an in-mail. Use that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking still, even with all of those filters, because of recently, you maybe also can tell what kind of platform could be used there. There's a lot of these automation LinkedIn tools, and you got like tons of personalized messages. Hey, I saw you in the conference, that topic, whatever. So, and if you're like bombarded with, let's say, 100 messages, well, not 100, but let's say even 10 messages, 20 messages a day, and you don't open every day, then it's like
I mean, you hear a lot of this, cold emailing is dead, or, oh, LinkedIn's getting saturated. I think ultimately, I don't know what type of messages you receive, but the ones I do, they're pretty shit.
yeah.
This tells me that the bar is pretty low.
Yeah, it's interesting that like I think there's a monetary way how to solve this. AI will not help to filter it out, but maybe if you raise the cost to send messages at some point, we might get something more quality.
This is all getting commoditized ultimately, and it's like now you have AI SDRs.
Yeah.
Not great. But ultimately, what you want instead of selling something is to start a conversation. Already changing your mindset to that will get you a lot closer to
Can you give a
getting
good
that.
example how you would write a LinkedIn message to, like, imagine if you would do these coconut brand deals nowadays, like
I haven't sold coconuts in
no, I know,
a long
no,
time,
but
but
in type of like if you would approach some corporation or organization with kind of product and ultimately you would like to have some kind of collaboration, but how you would start.
so in any case, whatever you're doing, you need to understand your buyer's pain. Challenge, issue, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, they are going through something that you have the solution for, and you want to find out if there's kind of an amount of pain enough that it would trigger them to be interested. Already, and this is where tools like Clay can help out because you have certain filters, you have AI that can get into the mix and use some of the agents to, at scale, look at, especially if it's an enterprise, there's publicly listed these are publicly listed companies. They have a lot of publicly available data. It's just that if you needed to look at all of this at scale, then manually it's a lot of work. But with AI, you can go at it pretty fast. And so it can help you with imagine you have your spreadsheet, you're putting more and more filters, and then your list is shrinking and shrinking to get just hyper-qualified leads. They have your pain. This
Okay,
might be
so you
timely.
find the very well qualified leads, but then remember your leads are being bombarded already with LinkedIn messages, how you would write LinkedIn message that hopefully would differ from all of these others.
So the thing is that I don't depend on one channel.
Okay,
I think
that's
that's
interesting.
the wrong approach. I'm a multi-channel type of person. Also, if you go with LinkedIn, you are limited to how much you can send any given day. So that also kind of makes you be more targeted. And I think that there's depending on the countries that you go for, it's like email, LinkedIn, and calling.
Oh, calling, that's a good, still effective, right?
Especially in the Baltics, from what I hear in terms of a lot of the people that work in this industry, here it's particularly efficient and it works.
But don't you think, like in future, like not far away, if so much of AI automated text communication, and of course there is automation also on the voice, but still the to kind of you can distinguish between still you can kind of feel if there is this human aspect in the call, right? Or
I
what
mean,
do
the
you think?
call, at this stage,
Yeah,
you don't do AI
yeah.
cold calls. That's a bit of a no-no. I think even there's regulation that
Yeah,
stops you from doing
I have
robocalling.
in the B2B space. I think regulation, even in Europe, is kind of okay, but in B2C, definitely, even in America, you cannot do that. Yeah, there is this kind of like, let's say, ID check or a human check for calls, right?
But again, it really depends on the industry. I was listening to a podcast where they interviewed the head of sales for owner.com in the US. His target market is restaurants. Go send an email or LinkedIn message to a restaurant. You're going to fall flat on your face. You have to cold call. That's the only way. So really, depending on the industry that you're in, you're going to have to make sure that the way that you get to your buyer is adapted.
But again, just I want to skip this small piece. Content-wise, you said you use multiple channels and you want to start conversation. Like how your message would look like.
You know, depending on what you want to go for, you have to say, okay, I understand that you're, I don't know, increasing the amount of SDRs that you're hiring, so your team is growing. You have this pain. We've helped X and type company make it relevant, like maybe same industry, and they have increased or decreased this and that by X. Is this something that is of interest? Would you be available for a call type of thing? You don't want to just put your booking link. That's the difference between a call to action, a CTA, and a soft one. Soft one, you're asking a question for them to answer, especially in an email. You want them to, it's almost transform it into a chat, which is very different to an email, right? An email is a sporadic back and forth, whereas if you're on an email, this could turn into an instant conversation. So that's also the difference in how you should tailor your in-mail to your email.
Again, about sales. So you might know we have this call analytics platform, Pitch Parents, being used by telcos, financial institutions, large around here in Eastern Europe. And this is AI-based platform. It's already quite mature, but still it's being developed all the time. And we kind of evaluate every single thing that happens in the calls. We put these like small KPIs being visible to all team on the screen, and we kind of help them to nudge towards the KPIs. And it's actually in 2 months we can get sometimes even up to 40% in sales, especially all of that is mainly from the phone calls, but also could be done with other channels. And I was wondering, like, from your experience, if AI can now replace basically the kind of this contact center quality control, the kind of helps to steer the head of sales, all of the team, how close we are with actually starting to delegate some of these roles to AI, like where the AI would either handle the whole process or some part of the process of the sales, either in the call or in other formats? Have you seen any good examples of that?
I haven't seen good examples of it, but I would assume that AI, in terms of sales, will be able to help a lot, if not replace, within transactional sales.
Yeah, the B2C shorts.
Absolutely. You want to go to this event? Why not get AI to be make sure that, you want to book a seat, do you want a middle aisle or the back or the what, all this stuff. I mean, ultimately it's self-serve, but if there's a question, then AI can probably help you out and fix it and sell. Or even if, you want to pick up the phone to call about this event, AI can probably handle most of that. Because it would have the whole knowledge base even more than what a human could answer. When you go up market and you start going to not just B2B, but then even enterprise and all that, there's so much complexity there that it's still gonna be.
You mentioned it early in the conversation, the psychological aspects and maybe relationship and the trust building and all of those things, right?
It's key because ultimately, when you're going through discovery with a buyer, you have their surface need. They tell you, okay, I need this. Okay, why? Or what makes you think that you need this? What have you been doing to fix this until now? How are the ways that all these questions to go deeper. Imagine an iceberg. You want to get below the surface, and that's where most of the answers that you're looking for are. That's the biggest part of the iceberg. And how do you get lower and lower and lower into and that's questioning, right? But you have to actively listen. This is all human elements. That AI doesn't, it would just say, okay, you need this, perfect. I will, do this for you, and you can buy it now here. It won't go into depth.
It also will probably not challenge you enough. Have you read the Challenger Sale, the red book,
sure.
right? I think it's kind of one of the best ones, right?
You got the Challenger Sale, you got the Challenger Buyer, and even now the latest one I think is a really good one is Jolt. I mean, Challenger Sale is great, but it was great at that time. Now I think sales have evolved as well, and you've had, the times that we're in have evolved. And Jolt is still very much alive today because I think a lot of sellers underestimate this, in the ones that I coach and help. Your biggest competitor could potentially not be another competitor. It could just be an internal blockage. It could be the status quo. Doing nothing, especially in enterprise sales, is a lot less risky than implementing transformation within a company. Right? So, then you get ghosted. No, maybe we'll see it later and all that.
Yep.
Well, actually, maybe they just didn't understand how the risk aversion, how did you lower risk? So also all that comes from discovery.
Well, how do you overcome that?
Good discovery. You have to understand all the moving parts, even the ones that are beneath the surface. Because in enterprise sales, these are large organizations. These people that you're talking to all have a certain amount of political capital.
Yep, definitely.
They build it up. It's like a bank. They build it up, they save up so that when they have a big ask for something, they can use that up, their account of political capital within the organization for
it's
this.
It's very risky to introduce something new.
It's super risky. So you have to understand, what are this person's aspirations from a professional standpoint. If this succeeds, will he get a promotion? And then if you can really dig deeper into his personal aspirations, what does he want to do? Does he want to go high up? Does he want to make an impact? Is he risk averse? Is he this? Is he that? And how will he use this political capital? Will he use it for you? Okay, so how can you help him so that he uses less of it? Or, so there's so many intricacies that are very human intricacies that AI, I think, at this point doesn't grasp.
By the way, just quickly going back to the pitch patterns and sales calls, how we use it also for for training. Basically, we can use the robocalls not for basically to target the actual B2B companies, but if you're a new guy and you want to skill up quickly, you could basically they call the robocall number, and then there is the AI on the other end with all of the scripts and databases and knowledge
For
bases.
training.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
yeah.
then they face every single objection. They get see how they manage that and train up the resilience and everything. So I think it's still quite a useful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that sounds like if for training, yeah, if you can get an avatar or something to go up against, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then when you're ready, then you plugged in the system. But mainly, you're right that the leaderboards and scoreboards and everything works the best for like shorter sales.
Yeah, I mean that's mostly transactional sales or early stage cold calling maybe. But when it comes to like bigger deals, more complexity, you want to make sure that you understand. I mean, ultimately, what they call AI note takers, what they should do as a basis is record your call, transcribe it, and create insights for you based on that call and transcript. And then once that you get those insights, make sure that they fill out your CRM in specific areas so that then you can go back to that deal and then understand if all the boxes have been checked and if you understand the whole scope of the deal. And any new call should go back and explore some of those points through, short discovery and then see if anything has changed with the deal. And this is what an AI note taker should capture at a minimum.
Yes, that takes one of the pains off the table regarding the data collection. Yeah, I agree.
Admin it's a huge issue for salespeople because I forgot if it was Gartner or whatever that was doing a study that less than a third of a salesman's time is spent selling. The rest of the time is admin, internal meetings, and
but it's
whatnot.
changing with AI, hopefully.
But that's, if you can get that, that's also how you understand, in terms of selling AI internally within a company is that, okay, your salespeople are selling a third. What would happen to your revenue if they could sell, twice as much? If they could just at least contribute, 50% of their time to selling instead of a third. Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Okay, that's and you don't have to hire more. You don't need more leads. Just that they sell more. They get more. They have more time selling.
Agree totally. So I think like anyone want to learn more about that should join Conquer Sales, right?
We did an event in Riga actually as well.
Oh, you definitely need to tell me when you're coming again. It'll help to set up many people. Okay, so till the end, let's do quickly some fun questions. Hopefully they're fun. I'm not sure. AI helped me as well, but I try to improve them. So what do you miss the most about Hong Kong?
The buzz.
Lithuanian food or French food?
Sorry for Lithuanian friends. French food.
Single day without internet or coffee? Hard question.
Internet.
Are you early or late adapter?
Early-ish.
Okay. If sales were a sport, which one could it be and why?
It's a team sport, for sure. It's one of the most heavy-duty team sports out there. I think it's more like rugby or like American football.
Rugby.
You get beat up and
need to get up again.
Need to get up again and just go for it again. Yeah, that compared to rugby.
How do you get yourself in the mood for selling?
I'm a big proponent of you need to celebrate your wins. Never forget to do that. And also not forget to learn from your losses.
What is more important for sales, listening or talking your way out of anything?
Listening, by far. And there's this big thing that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so use it in accordance,
What was the most memorable kind of rejection that you had with sales?
I only remember my wins.
It was great talking with you, Cedric. Where people can find you?
LinkedIn is where I hang out the most. So yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Cedric Charpenet at the end. And yeah, I'm available. I post quite a bit. Hopefully helpful stuff.
It was super insightful. So looking forward to keep talking to you. Thanks for joining the podcast. Subscribe, share, and see you in the next one.